as men, if we're going to talk, we need to live it. So before I wanted to do anything in my life, I wanted to get married. I didn't want to build success before I got married. I wanted to make sure that I'm building with the woman that I'm going to be with. And that's why I got married at 23. And I started looking for my wife at 16. A lot of men who teaching positivity, it could be on real estate, it could be on stocks. They don't show you a woman. It's like, you talking about stocks. Where your girl? Why you don't show your wife? You talking about real estate investing. Why you not showing your wife? Men do that because women have. I just got a DM from a woman when I was sitting outside, and it said, "Hey Tony, I'm looking at this guy. He has a large following, and I want to know, do you think we would be a good match?" And this guy does what you do. He has a podcast and it's growing and he getting a lot of views, but he's a single man. And so now all of these women following him because they want to see if they could show up in his comments and he sees them and he shoot them a DM. And so it's that what's earning money. But when I got over 50 streams of income, literally. Because when you are living an authentic life, it's no money in relationship coaching in the sense of like being paid buku dollars. Like YouTube paid me now, but I had YouTube since 2011. Mm-hmm. I just started getting a check in 2019.
Damn.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so all them years from 2007 to 2019, I literally had to just build business. So what a lot of people don't know, because I don't publicize it, is I'm a ghostwriter. So because I've written 20 books of my own, I write books for celebrities and athletes.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And so I'll write 5 books in a year and that'll earn me an income. And so right now for ghostwriting, it's $50,000. So if I could write 5 books, that's a living. But off relationship coaching, a lot of people, they see the money, but they don't know where the money come from. So I did a 7-figure business deal in 2015. So people would see me doing a video and they would see a Maserati emblem in the headrest and they would think, oh, that's relationship coaching. But I sold 35% of a company for over $1 million. And the company is a media production company where we produce documentaries.
Okay.
So what happened is young men were seeing me and they saw me shining and they thought it came from relationship coaching. When you could ask my wife, you robbing Peter to pay Paul. I did a tour on love and relationship around the world. I took it to Nairobi, Kenya. I went to Johannesburg, South Africa. I was in Montreal, Canada, Toronto, Canada. I was in the islands. Every event except for Atlanta and New York, you losing money. Every event, you losing money. That is why Steve Harvey didn't do a tour. You never seen Steve Harvey do a relationship tour. And when he talked about his first book, he said, ain't no money in that. Because the Steve show, Dr. Phil get paid for the Dr. Phil show $98 million.
Damn.
For a book deal, you might get $100,000. Mm-hmm. And then you never see another check. So that's the thing what is misunderstood by a lot of people. You could be looking at a relationship coach and all his money could come from credit cards. All his money could come from fraud. All his money could come from loans, like, or YouTube. Like when the guys, because I saw relationship coaches who had like 600, 700,000 YouTube subscribers. And now that YouTube pays me, I'm like, oh, this how they was eating.
Yeah.
But I didn't know YouTube was like
But I mean, now they're selling like master classes but I see what you're saying about the personality. It's different. Like no one's gonna pay to come hear you speak.
No, they gotta be. Is there opportunity that I could meet you and become your wife? That's what a lot of women are going. You have some women that's in there for the message.
So it's a setup.
It's a setup, and that's how these guys end up sleeping with their clients.
And I tell people anytime I do my little consultations, I had to stop it. I used to tell these people, do not fuck the money. You shitting where you eat.
Right? Yeah.
And they're fucking them, and then guess what? You know, they on my show.
I've had women hire me for coaching, and they said I slept with my last coach, and I'm like, wow. But that let me know, okay, that's what you own. So let me watch you. And then I realized the spirit is still there. And so it's a part of, one lady, she told me, she said, I like powerful men. And I was like, so she slept with her coach, she slept with her pastor, and she was married, but she was in a very perverted industry that just turned over to dark spirit. And so I seen that, and I just keep it at a distance. So I don't do video consultations, because I believe that if
what kind of consultations you do?
By phone. And I only do 2 a week. And so
I'll be done in the group chat, bitch, put them all in the same.
I do the Zoom.
No one-on-one in group chat.
I do the Zoom like calls,
okay,
but that's like business, like mastermind.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
But not relationship.
Okay.
And then the relationship stuff, I still do it by phone. Because if you sitting and you talking to somebody every week and y'all looking each other in the eyes for an hour, it's human that if a person is vulnerable and they're in a weak space, they could fall in love with you. Because love making is not in the bedroom. Love making is communication. A lot of people don't realize that. When you make love to the mind, that's the largest sexual organ. So
for women it is, especially. For men, it's not. They don't, men.
Especially.
They don't work on that type of time.
And so but you know what? Yeah. Men do too. That's why you see guys marry the woman who just had conversation with them and didn't let them sleep with them for 6 months.
You own something, because I personally do not talk to men because they instantly want to date me. Like any man that I was with, they wanted to get married, they wanted to do this, and I don't do it to this. It could be an Uber driver, and they spark up conversation, and they're like, oh my God, are you married? Like, are you single? And I'm like, all we did was talk about, like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And I get that so much. So you onto something right there.
Yeah, I see.
And I don't even be intentionally be doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm an intelligent person. I enjoy having intelligent conversations, but I realize I can't do that.
Right. Because that's making love to the mind.
I didn't even see that, and I'm in the back seat, the person in the front seat, and I'm having conversations, or it's just that is so crazy, and I never knew men was that. I didn't know that until this age, like 25, 26, 27, 28. No, you don't know that, but now I see it, and I'm like, let me just shut up. Because I know the moment I start speaking, they're like, oh, she kind of smart. Oh, let me see if I can pick her brain, and then next thing you know, they're asking me out. Because I'm not like, the type of person that walks in the room and I want to show my body and I'm got on these tight clothes, even if I had the body. I mean, I had the body before I had the baby, but you know what I'm saying? that was never my thing. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, they're going to have to talk to me to want to, but other than that, I want to, You onto something there. See, that's why you're the relationship expert. I'm sorry, you ain't no relationship expert. You saying no relationship expert. Yeah. But you know what's funny? I wanted to talk about this, and I asked you before we started this show, because I want you to know I don't take pleasure in bringing down somebody. I don't.
Right. And I couldn't tell, but
oh wow!
You having a blast.
The shade.
You having a blast.
No.
Why those? Let me tell you why those.
No.
Girl, listen, we got the story.
We have fun.
You have a blast.
Simply getting to know people, because we learn a lot from people's lives, right? But when we have people who put themselves here, and I feel like they forget that they're human, and that you can be caught up.
Right.
Me and Derek had a past because Derek once tried to how they be like, hey, in your DM, hey. So he hit my DM. Then he hit the comments, was like, hey, because, you know, he's a verified partner. And I'm just like, why is he in the comments saying, hey, or trying to get me to, like, talk to him in a DM? Like, and I never really responded. And it wasn't until some girls had contacted me one night about him sleeping with them, and I was shocked. I was like, not Derek, like, and making them have abortions when he get them pregnant. It was messy. So I came out, this is when I was a new YouTuber, and I didn't know how to, like, protect the source. I was like, some girls had contacted me. They talking about they done had abortions when he was at Tuskegee, all kind of stuff. And so he went and made a video calling me a narcissist. I was like, how you call me a narcissist? I didn't call nobody asking about your information. So he dragged me, and it was fine. But then when the girl called, like, I'm literally breastfeeding my son. I get a phone call. The girl was like, hey, she called me through Instagram. And she was like, hey, you know, I got some information. And I'm like, okay, what you got, you know? She was like, Derek Jackson. I was like, what about him? She was like, well, I've been sleeping with him. I was like, okay. She was like, but he's married. I said, married? Yeah, wait, married? So I was like, show me the picture of the wife. I said, are they separated? What's going on? He been fucking the bitches in the wife's bed. The wife will go see her parents. They laying up, and the pictures of the wife and the kids are right there. Like, and she.
Mm-hmm. That's you know.
You feel like he done fucked up the industry?
It honestly, when I heard about it, I didn't mention.
Where you heard about it from?
I don't know. I could have heard about it from you. I heard about it somehow. Okay. And everybody was calling me. Mm-hmm. And my thing was, but when I really watched it, I felt like you gave the most detail.
Yeah, that was my story.
So I was watching your stuff, and I was looking at it. And for me, I don't rejoice in somebody's downfall.
Oh, but that shit was funny.
So I never...
That was one of our best works.
I never mentioned his name.
Okay.
Like, I try not to speak names.
Okay.
But when I spoke on it, people knew who I was talking about.
Okay.
Now, he's a young man that he never reached out to me. He never spoke to me, not once, to say, I respect what you're doing. How did you do it? I never heard from him. For me, that's always a red flag. Because if somebody in the industry that I want to be in and they've already had success, and especially if they look like me, right, I'm going to reach out to them. And so, but one thing I believe is that spirits attract and repel. So if you're not of the same cloth, you're not going to be drawn to this person, to somebody. Like the gentleman that's with me, Caleb, he reached out to me. That's my mentee. Okay. And he come from Dallas to Florida, and he work, and he's a business owner. But he goes on the road with me, and he watch what I do. He learns with me. And so it means his spirit wants to be right. Don't mean he's going to be perfect. And this is my thing. I've made every mistake that every man has made. But my thing is when you say you change your life and you want to help other people change their lives, you got to be serious about that. You can't play with that.
Listen, I've offered him just kind of a look. I felt, first of all, I didn't bring him down. He brought himself down.
He did it himself.
You lied, you told these, and then you led the women on. You talked to the women about your wife, and then you still slept with them. Only when your wife is coming back, because you done begged your wife to come back, you block them, you diss them, and you shut them down. And these women were looking up to you. Imagine people see you here, right? And then they have this perfect, that's why I don't believe in fucking the clients. Fuck everybody else but the clients, okay? Because the clients, the moment you do something wrong, their whole vision of you is shattered. And he consistently did that. You know, and my thing is, I expect him at that age to be that way, okay? But not with a wife and 2 children who you don't show. You know, we see the car seat in the back, but nobody ever asked the question. I thought maybe he put the car seat as a prop. You know what I'm saying? To bring more women in, because some women will see, well, maybe he's a single dad, because you know that single dad stuff sell too, as opposed to being single. But I feel like he did kind of give the industry a bad taste, and people are not as trusting as they were before. Now, have you been hit with a lot of the negativity that has spun from him being exposed 3 times? Yes. There was really 6. I didn't put the other 3 women out. I said, this is overkill at this point.
When that happened, with him, I lost thousands of people online. I lost thousands because he was so believable. He was so believable. And me, I call myself someone who can read people.
People unfollowed you because of him.
Thousands. I remember sending an email out to my students in my academy. I have an online academy where I have a course for everything that I've done. If you want to write a book, I have a course on it. If you want to be a consultant and a coach, I have a course on it. If you want to be a speaker, I have a course on it. And it's called Tony Gaskins Academy. I have about 36,000 students. When I email my students, I remember right after that happened, I sent out an email just about a course. I got replies, take me off of this right now and never email me again. I had never done anything. And I'm like, and then I looked at my Instagram, it was like 3,000-4,000 people gone. My YouTube went down. It was like people wrote off every black male relationship coach because I guess they saw like, okay,
because of his bitch ass.
I guess they saw, okay, if he married, and then when the other man came out and started doing what he was doing, the man who do the podcast in the dark,
what podcast in the dark? Which one?
The man who do the podcast in the dark.
I don't know who he.
And he got something spinning on his desk. And he had something spinning on his desk. And when
I'm done. I can't do this. Another bottle. I did not see that. Go ahead.
That messed me up. Because here I am trying to help people. And I'm like, I'm going on 15 years of marriage.
Yeah.
And me and my wife, we treat our relationship like a house.
Okay.
So I tell everybody, in our first 2 years of marriage, 2007 to 2009, we went through everything everybody goes through.
Everybody go through that shit, yeah.
But we treat it like a house, meaning we lock our doors. We keep our lawn cut to show the snakes. We pay our dues. And we only open our blinds when we want people to come in, when we want people to see in. So everything we went through, it wasn't about us trying to go out and air it and say, oh, she was like this, he was like this. We realized you treat your relationship like a house. But my wife would never put up with an affair. So people assume in their mind, but my wife has never been texted by another woman, never been called by another woman. I've never been texted by a man, never been called. What we went through was more so like a power struggle. Who is going to serve who? And then we learn you got to serve each other. And so we went through falling out and feeling like it was over. And we went through seeking attention from outside, you know, to where your ex might say something. We went through the power struggle. And then the change happened when I changed. When I changed my attitude and not being short with my words, being more open with communication, being more present and not, you know, on my phone or focusing on money, that's when my relationship changed for the better. So my belief is that the change starts with men. But see, a lot of men are operating from their insecurity. So when I look at a man, I could tell, okay, he didn't have that body growing up. He was a whole lot of head and a little bit of body. So now when he get this body, now he gotta get the fruit of that. It's new to him, the attention. And so it's ego driven. This other man, he was raised by a single mother and it affected him. It broke him down. He was the kid who was bullied. He was talked about. The women didn't want him. They called him best friend. So now he got a podcast. He want revenge. He want to call you ugly. He want to call you this. He want to call you that.
Tony, I didn't know you had it in you.
Because of the pain.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
I do this on my channel. I break it down.
Listen, I didn't know you had it in you. Like,
because you got to look at where you operating from.
Okay.
And so that's why I tell guys, because men get mad at me because they think I'm taking up for women. But what I tell them is, you speak from where you are.
Right.
So I've never been hurt by a woman. So that's why I don't judge a man who has been hurt by a woman. But pain recognized pain, I still could tell that he's hurt. But I've been cheated on by a woman in college, but I cheated on her. So I can't be mad at her for cheating if I'm cheating. And it was an experimental relationship. It wasn't nothing real. We met in the library and, you know, connected on the first night, and it was like a little play thing. And so I didn't go out and say I hate women and women are dogs and women are cheaters, because that happened. And so for me, I was the one that was misleading, that was telling the lies. So when I came out, when I'm telling my story, it's to right my wrongs. It's because I looked and I said, okay, my mama falling for this stuff. My sister falling for this stuff. All my cousins falling for this stuff. But it's elementary. I'm like, men playing elementary games. But what I realized is the games, the man law, the man code, the manipulation, the deception is breaking down the household. It's destroying society. That's why Chicago is the way it is. Atlanta, these kids coming up and stealing your car at the gas station, got to get shot and killed for robbing at the gas station. Yeah. Because the household broke down. And so if men not gonna stand up and lead, if men not gonna be men, and when I say lead, I mean lead by example, not be domineering and a tyrant. But today, we have certain guys online that's putting a battery in the back of insecure men. And an insecure man is the most dangerous being in the world.
Yeah, you preaching one
That's
now.
the most dangerous being in the world.
You're right.
That's what's doing all the killing in the streets. That's all. Every thug is an insecure man. Every dope boy is an insecure man. I'm man enough to say, when I was in the streets hustling, I was insecure. And you know what I noticed about everybody that was in the streets with me? Everybody was soft and everybody was insecure. Everybody looking to make a name for themselves. But the real men, they never touched the streets. They never sold a single drug. They knew who they were. They didn't have to front. They didn't have to get in the streets. They didn't have to do none of that. They went on to work at the warehouse. They went on to work as a basketball coach. And those men don't get enough praise. But then at the same time, a man could be real on his job and still be failing in the household. So it's a lot of school teachers, that's men, and basketball coaches that still dog their wife out. And what I come to realize is that my success would be determined by the way I treat my woman. Because if God made man and God made woman, and if God say, listen, you got to treat this woman the right way. As a man, how can I expect to receive good if the one being that God gave me to protect, I abuse and I mistreat? What would the world, what would the universe, what would God have for me if I'm lying, cheating, deceiving, manipulating, controlling, abusing in any form? Financial abuse, social abuse, guys doing that with social media, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse. It's going on. And so what's happening is there's a war between men and women. Women now, I was on your channel looking at interview you did, and I'm reading black women saying, I don't listen to black men talking about relationships. I don't trust black men in relationships. I'm over black men. And then black men saying the same thing about black women. And so we don't realize that's spiritual warfare. That's division.
I think mostly, because there was one particular video where I saw it really go in. And one guest did make a video and he was trying to paint, well, are black women as toxic as black men? And I was like, I literally had to jump on his live and I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. Because we have guests on our show all the time, and our viewers, because I'm so authentic, I'm so real, I'm so all on the table. What you see is what you get. I ain't hiding shit. That they can see when someone is inauthentic. And so that's a lesson for you. Could it be that they're giving you constructive criticism as opposed to attacking you? Because the last time I checked, it's only a black woman that's going to tell you the fucking truth.
You're right. You're 100%
But
right.
y'all can't take it because it's like, you're supposed to celebrate me and love me through my flaws. I could love you through your flaws, but I'm gonna tell you the fucking truth. You know what I'm saying? But because you have this barrier up, you can't see that. You see me, the one woman that God made you for, as your enemy, you know? And what I've noticed is, I see a lot of our sisters, they are complaining about American raised black men, but they don't want to date outside of, like, I'm like, there are other black men, you know, outside of American black men. There's European black men, there's African black men, there's men raised everywhere. But Brazilian black men, like, you can still get a black man, he just may not be American raised, and because we lacked that family unit coming up, like, that's not our fault. That's how our families were destroyed. They were taken away. Our fathers were beat down, underpaid. Mothers were abused and not allowed to work. And now we're just now getting back into our way of, like, our way of life and living how we're supposed to live like kings and queens. And so I don't see anything wrong with dating outside of America. And you will have a very different perspective on black men, and you will be able to understand the differences in where you're raised and how you're raised, and who raised you will play a factor in who a man is and how he's raised. Because every man that I grew up with sold dope. Mm-hmm. Every man that I grew up with smoked dope. You know what I'm saying? But if you go to African countries, they smoking dope. They don't, being raised without a mother and a father, it happens, but it's very rare. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Family is very important. They still take their wife to the family, and they ask permission to the families as to, can I marry your daughter? That still goes on. And I just feel like, when you have men in that situation, not you, because you've been, like I said, I haven't seen one scandal. Nobody has emailed me about nothing. Now, have they emailed me about the other two? The one checked out, the other hasn't checked out, but I don't think anything will ever check out with the other, because that's who he is. He's authentic, even though it's not acceptable, but he's authentic. That's himself. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like, I don't want to overtalk. You the guest and whatever. But like, I just feel that if black men were more authentic, you wouldn't have an issue with a woman telling you or pointing out your flaws, because at the end of the day, it's like, women are tired. They're tired. We're tired. Like,
they tired, and that's why I tell people. I call it down the middle. Okay. And I've realized both sides are sensitive. So if I do a video that's talking to women about, from a male perspective, if they disagree and they don't feel it, they let me know. They go absolutely off. If I do a video to men, so if I do a video to men, talking man to man, a brotherly perspective, they say, what about the women? Talk to the women. And then if I do a video for women, giving a male perspective, they say, what about the men? Talk to the men. And so my audience has largely become women who, they understand that I'm not pandering, that I'll say something that may step on their toes, but I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna call a woman fat. I'm not gonna call a woman ugly. I'm not gonna tell a woman, you gonna die single. Like, I'm not going to, I did a call, and a lady, this is what she said to me. She said, Tony, I was listening to the man in the podcast in the dark. I was listening to, because I don't speak people's names. She said, I was listening to the podcast, and she said, I started to work on myself.
Why are you always in the dark? I said, I remember this, but I don't know. Like,
she said, I started to work on myself, and I started to lose weight. But she said, I realized I was doing it from self-loathing because of the way he talked to women. She said, I was doing it from a place of self-loathing, self-hate. She said, then I found your channel, and you essentially were saying a lot of the same stuff, but she said you said it from love. So she said, I started doing the same work on myself that I was doing from his channel, but from your channel, I did it from self-love. And not from self-loathing. So it's one way to where it's not what you are saying is how you say it, and it's also your intent. So you can tell a hard truth in love, and you could build somebody up. So I could give you some critique, but if it's coming from pain, if it's coming from hurt, if it's coming from frustration and anger, then it's gonna hurt you. You may go change your life, but you're doing it because I hurt your feelings. But if I come to you from a place of love, from a place of wholeness, from a place of peace, I could tell you the same thing, but you're gonna go make changes from a place of love because you see somebody wants to see you do better. And I think that's what, as men, we have to understand our position, and that we have a role, and that women want to respect men. And some men are telling themselves that women don't want to respect men. Women want a man who is a strong man, who is an honest man, but don't want a man who gonna beat them down with their words. Don't want a man who gonna break them and calling it making them or building them. And I also believe that as men, if we're gonna talk, we need to live it. So before I wanted to do anything in my life, I wanted to get married. I didn't want to build success before I got married. I wanted to make sure that I'm building with the woman that I'm gonna be with. And that's why I got married at 23. And I started looking for my wife at 16. But you know why? It's because my father was in the home. So a lot of guys, they're afraid of marriage because they've never seen it exemplified. They've never seen it in front of them in a healthy way. But because my father was in the home, it made me want to be married. Okay. And because he never abused me, my dad had never cursed at me. My dad never yelled at me. He spanked me when I was little. I got my last whooping at 17.
That's too grown.
But it didn't come. At that point. But you know what though? It came from love.
He whooped you or he beat your ass?
No, he whooped me like I was standing up and he would hit me on the butt.
Did it hurt?
With a belt. I was 17, it didn't hurt. He just was sending a message like, don't come in my house late.
Okay.
And his thing was, I brought you in the world, I'll take you out.
Yeah.
But he never yelled, he never abused me.
Okay.
He just was consistently loving, but you chastise those you love too. But for me seeing that, it made me want to be married.
Question of the hour, because I mean, I could sit here and I could talk to you for hours. Like, there's so much information, and I really hope to have you back here really, really soon. How do you, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been married 16 years. I can't tell these people out here in this what they call it, modern love, modern women, modern men. The first thing about dating, because I'm kind of old school with it, I believe in a spiritual connection. I don't believe in aesthetic connections or monetary connections or whatever. For me, you connect with somebody monetarily, that's a business transaction, so you can't get mad if he's treating you one way. You want the money, he want the ass. It shouldn't be. That's how I was raised. How do you, being so traditional and I wouldn't even say, I don't like the word old school, I would say cultured. How do you give advice to women who are living in and dating in social media times, who have waited until their 30s to now want to settle down, and it's harder to have babies, you're now set in your ways, most men are already married or divorced and they don't want to go down that road no more. How do you advise them? What do you talk? Because I can't tell them shit. They be trying to ask me and I'm like, girl, I don't know. Because I'm trying to, if I was single out here in these streets, I wouldn't even be married because of the level that I'm at. I wouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like,